This quarter's market update is a special one. Simon Whitehead has just celebrated 25 years in real estate. It's a huge achievement, and anyone that knows him will agree that the industry is better with him in it. So today, Simon's going to bring you the latest market update with another industry legend, one of the most respectable real estate agents in North Brisbane, who introduced Simon to the industry, gave him his first job and taught him the ropes. His dad, Brian Whitehead.
Well, Dad, over the years we've seen many different markets, but by far and away the last 12 months has been the most dynamic, with a 30% increase in house prices in the Hills District.
Certainly not in my day, but the closest it got to that was when they introduced the first homeowners grant around about 2000, where we saw big increases in prices, but nothing like we see today.
Right. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. 12 Bowlong Crescent, Ferny Hills, a 3-bed, 1-bath, standard Ferny Hills high-set home. Thoroughly prepared for the market by the owners, but still packed with potential, and sold for $945,000.
8 Tarrawal Crescent, Ferny Hills, a low-set 3-bed, 1-bath, 98 square metres of home, 5 days on the market, sold for $891,100.
6 of 33 Barber Road, Ferny Hills, a good-sized 4-bed, 2-bathroom home, architecturally designed on a group title, with over 600 views on social media, and sold for $917,500.
2 Onyx Street, Capera, immaculate and for the most part original home, 26 inspections and 10 offers, sold for $856,000.
Yes, it does. As you can see, over the last 12 to 18 months, we've done a heap more auctions in the Hills District, and we've never done that before. Just the buyer demand was just through the roof, and it was the right thing to do, and we've had some great results.
Certainly agree with that, Simon. We didn't do many auctions at all back in the day, back in the 90s, early 2000s, but certainly with the demand you've got in today's market, auction would appear to be the way to go.
Yes, I can. It actually took me 5 times to sell it. Fell over on building and pest 4 times in a row. 5th time we got it through. Sold sign went up. It was a huge relief, but it did teach me to be persistent. So yeah.
We opened our office back in the early 1990s, and I'm struggling to go back to remember my first sale, to be honest, but I do remember putting up one of my first sold signs, and a complete stranger pulled up alongside me in his vehicle and said, "Mate, I reckon that feels good." Certainly have. I've got a couple of that stand out. They were both auctions. One was a mortgagee in possession auction, where the auctioneer was about to knock the property down, and a guy screamed up in his car, jumped out, put up his hand, and eventually bought the property. Back in those days, I think it was about $102,000. The second one that stands out was one that was a result of a family court decision, and we had to deal with husband and the ex, and no, they couldn't agree on anything. Eventually I set the reserve, we went to auction. The husband and wife both wanted to buy it, or certainly the husband wanted to buy it, and the wife just kept putting the price up. She eventually was successful, to her shock.
The funny thing was she didn't know that the ex-husband was bidding through a friend. Didn't really want to buy it.
Exactly.
By far and away the technology. We used to take our own photos, put our own signs up, and I think the byproduct of that, we had less time to talk to buyers and sellers about getting the results they both want.
Yeah, certainly back in the day, real estate agents were the custodian of knowledge in regard to real estate. People used to flock down to the window after we'd gone home and check out the new listings, and then subsequently, you get a bit of inquiry from them. These days, of course, buyers and sellers have all the knowledge in front of them through the internet and realestate.com domain, etc. So things have changed dramatically in that regard. Interesting question. I started work in the government in 1965 and stayed in the property area until 1989. We set up our own business at Arana Hills in 1991 and stayed there until we sold the business in 2012. I did have a little bit of a taper for a year or two while we did a bit of travel, and But to be honest, no, I don't miss it. Golf, gardening, travel are my main interests these days.
That's an interesting question because there's a lot of media talking negativity into the market. We saw that before COVID and we all know what happened after that. So look, I personally think that that the market will continue to be strong, stable. It won't go backwards over the next 12 to 24 months. I think long term through to the Olympics is going to be very strong, and I think it's still a very good time to be buying property right now.
Yes, I'm not probably qualified to give a realistic opinion, but I do know that we've had an interest rate rise and we're in election mode, but I think it'll only be temporary if there's any flattening of the market. But with the Olympics on the horizon, that's all good.
So there you have it. A huge thank you to Brian for joining us today, and a big congrats to Simon for 25 years. It is a privilege to work with you, and I do look forward to the next 25. As always, if you have any questions about the market, Simon and I are always available for a chat. See you next time.